Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first in-person meeting in a long time. So we're going to start with our guest speaker today, Miss Alexis Motley. She is a registered dietitian, and she's currently the MNT teacher here at LSU. And today she's going to be telling us a little bit about her journey as a registered dietitian, how she got there, what she's done so far, and then an exciting project that she's working on and that some people are helping her with.
Hello, everyone. How's it going today? I know everyone's smiling at me with their eyes, of course. I'm Alexis Motley. I'm a registered dietitian, as she said, and I do teach the MNT courses here. So I'm going to be sharing with you all about my new project. But before I can talk about the new project, it's like, how did I get to the My Kid Play Garden project? So I thought it would be best that I talk about my journey first and then talk about the project. Everyone okay with that? All right. All right, so my journey as a dietitian, I started at Southern University here in Baton Rouge. I did the didactic program there. I was an Army ROTC scholarship winner, so I had going into the military after graduation, or I could have did an educational delay and probably did an internship. However, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a dietitian, and then I thought about who's going to pay for the internship. It had a lot of things going on, so I decided to just commission right on into the United States Army, and I was commissioned as an engineer. Okay, two separate careers, right? I was a military engineer, but I had a background in nutrition. So I did 4 years as a military engineer officer. I got out at the rank of captain. I was stationed at I was at a lot of duty stations, I feel like, but I was stationed at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I was stationed at Shepherd Air Force Base, and I did some time at Fort Benning, Georgia. And then I met my spouse, and he was a military officer also. So I decided to get out of the military and go back and do my internship and just follow his career. Because being a dietitian, you can kind of follow your spouse's career. So when I got out of the military, I followed my husband to, where did we go? Fort Gordon, Georgia. So home of the Masters. So we went to Fort Gordon, Georgia, and I did my refresher courses, and I went to the University of Alabama online, and I did all of my refresher courses there. And then I applied for an internship. So I applied for my internship. I knew my husband was coming back to Louisiana, so that's why I applied to McNeese State University. I think Dr. Hollingsworth will tell you all that I called her. No lie, I did not know it was the day of her husband's funeral. And I called her and I was like, "Hi, my name is Alexis Motley," and I'm just all cheery. And she said, "Okay, my husband died, and I'll call you back tomorrow." But that's just how she is as a person. It's just like, "I'll call you back tomorrow." And she did call me back, and I was like, "I am so sorry." I thought she was gonna hold that against me, but I absolutely love Dr. Hollingsworth. Maybe you guys don't think it's funny, but I was so shocked when I called her and she said, "It's my husband's funeral." But she talked to me, and then I was accepted into the internship at McNeese State University. I did receive my master's there at McNeese. I enjoyed Lake Charles while I was there. I traveled back from my husband was stationed at Fort Polk, which is in Leesville, Louisiana, and I did my internship in Lake Charles. But we didn't stay in Leesville. We kind of split the drive. So we kind of stayed in Oberlin, Louisiana. Anybody from central Louisiana kind of know where the map is. It's in the center of the state, and we kind of just split the drive. So after graduating from McNeese State University, I took a job at the Charles Memorial Hospital. So we'll talk about some of my jobs. And I worked at the diabetes clinic. I worked in the pregnancy clinic and the weight loss clinic. So right after I accepted a job, and I took my RD exam. So let me tell you this. I am excited that I was working and studying at the same time because it kept the clinical aspect in my head really fresh. I was a preceptor immediately. Like as soon as I graduated, I had interns under me. So we were studying time. So never stop studying. If you take a job and say, "Hey, I'm going to work and study," you need to study. And if you want to work, you can study, but you have to come up with a plan. I listened to Gene Inman, an hour's work and an hour back every day. Plus I studied I feel like I studied about 4 to 5 hours a day before taking my test. So I graduated in December and I took my test in March. So I gave myself enough time to study. Don't feel like you know it all right after you graduate and say, "Hey, you got to finish this internship and take it immediately." Make sure you study. I really recommend that you study. And so after my husband and I were at Fort Polk for a while, we had the opportunity to go to Fort Carson, Colorado. So I was able to get a job there, and I worked at a long-term care / skilled nursing facility. The best job ever. I was able to work with the activities coordinator, and we had theme meals every month. So that's exciting. Wait till you get to your internship and you have to do a theme meal. I don't know if that's still a thing though.
It's definitely still a thing.
Okay, it's still a thing. So I did a theme meal every month there. I had a great time working there. However, some things that's very interesting about when I moved to Colorado, that's when they legalized marijuana. So in a long-term care facility, their diets are very liberalized. So you have a lot of diabetics who had like a lot of high crazy blood sugars, and we went into their rooms. There was a lot of edibles there. So you have to make sure I had them take some CEUs about, edibles and blood sugar. So that's one of my things I tell people that was like a shocker to me. But it was very interesting working there. It was one of my favorite jobs. I think because I was able to do a theme meal. I'm a person that likes to plan parties. So I was like planning a party every month. For Mardi Gras that year, oh my goodness, we got a Zydeco band to come down. We had my dad shipped the food in. We had a great time. We did throws just like we were in New Orleans at the long-term care facility. So I really liked it there. Then my husband received orders again to come back to Louisiana, and that's when I became a civilian dietitian for the Army at St. John's Army Community Hospital. I was able to work with active duty soldiers, retirees, their spouses. I did a lot of community activities there. That's when I started doing a lot of cooking classes for. I like to keep my job fun and like job security. Like if you ever think about, they say, well, we don't have much for you to do. I would come up with things for me to do. So that's what a part of why I did like cooking classes. I did couples night, date night, and I showed them how to cook easy meals, things like that. So I really enjoyed working at St. John's Army Community Hospital. At that job, we did like a weight loss program for the military. Do you all know that active duty soldiers are required to fit a height and weight standard? They have a chart. It says if you're this tall, you have to weigh this much. And then, did you all know that you can get kicked out of military service for being overweight or underweight? So we had a program, or a weight management program for soldiers, sailors, and airmen. Because at a military installation, not always, like if you go to the Army installation, it can be Navy people there, it can be Air Force people there. So it's a big community. So I really loved it there. However, my husband decided to retire from his military career, which was fine. And I had to figure out what's the next steps. So that's when we decided to move to Baton Rouge. I applied for the PhD program. And then the pandemic happened, right? And I was at home with two small kids. I forgot to tell you guys, I have two boys. I'm a boy mom. So I have two small children. So the pandemic happened and we were just at home. However, I forgot to mention about my private practice. So I do have a private practice. And I do a lot of consulting for companies, state and government contracts. And one of the contracts I was doing just a simple newsletter for daycares, and it was called My Kid Plate. So you have to remember that. My newsletter was called My Kid Plate. So I would just send like healthy recipes to, on my newsletter, maybe talk about physical activities, some family activities that they could do. So when the pandemic happened, I was home and I became like a first grade teacher for my kid and a pre-K teacher, like a daycare teacher. So I was like, what activities could we do? So we started like a very small little, like, let's grow some mint leaves and some basil in the house. And let's see if that grows. So that grew. And then my kids were like, this is strong. Like kids have like opinions about everything. My son was like, this doesn't taste good. So I was like, what could I do? Something else. So we started growing tomato plants and cucumber plants. And they were so intrigued. So I was like, wow, if my kids like it, and they are hard to please most of the time. And then like, what about other kids? So when my children weren't able to go back to school, I asked my son's daycare director, could I start a garden? And she was like, fine, who's gonna pay for it? Never thought about that part. I was like, okay. So I asked around, and my hairstylist at the time, I asked her would she be willing to make a donation to the daycare center so that they could start a little small garden. She's like, no problem. She wrote me a check and we started the garden project. So that's how we kind of started the My Kid Plate garden project. Here are my sweet babies. This little one up here at the top, you can see him. That's my little angel. That's Alexander. So we just started a small garden, like a small garden. And the garden is about providing access to healthy food options. So let's talk about that. Being in the military, either being an active duty soldier or a military spouse, there's no such thing as a food desert. Because there's a grocery store on every military installation. And right when you drive off the installation, there's going to be a Walmart or another grocery store. So there's never really like a food desert. So moving back to Baton Rouge and seeing like the North Baton Rouge area not really having a grocery store. Exactly. A long time ago, she got a baker and go into like the North Baton Rouge area. So I was completely shocked that people do not have access to a grocery store, or if the grocery stores that they do have access to, they don't offer the best produce. Have you ever just gone in a grocery store to look at the produce? I'm a little weird. I'll just pull over if I see a grocery store. If it looks, I'll pull in and just see what the produce looks like. Because as a dietitian, I always encourage my patients or clients to eat fresh fruits and vegetables. But if they don't have access, then that's falling on deaf ears. So when I brought the garden to the daycare, I was like, wow, what if we could bring this to other daycares, especially in food desert communities? So my wheels started churning, and I was like, well, this could be a real project, because it really wasn't a project when I started it at the daycare. It was just like my kids' daycare garden. And then, have you all heard of Siggy, the yogurt company, Siggy? The yogurt can be found in Starbucks. Like, that's my claim to fame, you guys. I tell people I partnered up with somebody that's in Starbucks. So Ziggy, I've heard about this grant. I've heard about it for several years, but I didn't think, I was like, well, I don't know if my little project, when I say little, I shouldn't say that. I should say my project wasn't big enough to apply for the grant. Well, I decided to do it anyway because Ziggys Grant is only for registered dietitians. And let me tell you why, because I met with Ziggy 2 weeks ago, and he said that he supports dietitians because when he started out, dietitians were the only people that supported him. So his grant is only for dietitians. So it's a $20,000 grant that I applied for. And so it was 9 finalists. And I am happy to report that I was one of the winners with the My Kid Play Garden project. And this past weekend, we were able to install 4 new gardens for our fall garden. So we have 2 at Southern University Child Development Laboratory and 2 at In Loving Arms, which is like a skilled nursing pediatric clinic. So if your child has something that maybe they can't go to a normal daycare, they can go to this facility, and there's nurses. All the teachers are nurses on staff. So we have 4 new gardens, and we've been approached to do additional gardens. But with this grant that I've just received, I'm going to be able to do way more gardens than just the small one that we did at my son's daycare center. And I'm super excited about that because my journey as a dietitian, I didn't start off like I graduated college and went into the Army as an Army engineer. I was building and blowing up things, you guys. Like my first 4 years after college, I was like, I did none of this stuff in school. Just a funny joke, like when I went to the Army, they gave me blueprints. And I'm just like, you always supposed to fake it till you make it, right? I had the blueprints upside down because I didn't go to school for that. And I knew that I wanted to go back to be a dietitian, but I said to myself, I was going to save my money and I was going to be able to pay for my internship without having to take out student loans. So that was just the way I went. Everyone's journey is different. I feel like the military gave me a way to mature. When I went back to my internship, I was the oldest person there. However, I was like focused. I knew I was there for a purpose, and I didn't have to think about how to pay for it because I already had a plan. I used those 4 years while I was in the military to save up my money to pay for my internship. So everyone's journey is different, but I'm excited to know that I've been here for the last 8 years doing exactly what I like to do. I love being a dietitian. I love being a mom. So that's my name on Instagram, like the mommy dietitian, because that's what I do. I incorporate my life with being a dietitian. But the My Kid Play Garden project, we are projected to do 11 gardens next month with all the Head Start. So there's 11 Head Starts in the Baton Rouge area, and they have agreed to allow us to come and do 11 gardens. So we will not do those gardens until Siggy cuts me that check. But I did receive an email from his PR people that they're going to wait until Finley to announce at a pre-Finley event who are the winners, and then they'll be able to give us our check. But that is like my life in a nutshell. That's the My Kid Play Garden project. And my major professor, Dr. Holston, she was like, so we're going to use this as our research, right? This is not just going to be a project that we're doing. So I'm going to incorporate this to be a part of my research. So I'm excited to be here at LSU working with all you all. I'm excited about the My Kid Play Garden project. And I was thinking, while I was standing over there, I was like, maybe we should get a garden on LSU's campus, right? Head shaking. So maybe Dr. Finley can help us figure that out somewhere on campus.
Horticulture has one, but that doesn't mean you can't add to it.
Right. So what do they do with the produce after it's? So is it going to the food bank, or students have access to it?
The farm to table people.
Oh,
That's the good people to ask in horticulture, like the Louisiana Farm to Table Initiative.
okay.
Might be a good collab.
Oh yeah. So I just thought I would bring that up. Let's see. So this is the produce that came out of our garden from our spring garden. So we did chocolate bell peppers, we did cucumbers, tomatoes, and some cantaloupe, green onions, okra. So I'm proud to say that my babies grew this. Everything that we grow in the garden, our children, they eat it. so I either myself or one of the teachers will pick it, they'll wash it, and then the cook will prepare for the children. So what I did over the summer, because I had a little extra time, everything we got out of the garden, every Friday I would go, we do like some type of recipe with the kids, just so that they could try it. Because kids are like, ew, yucky, this is new. So now I went back last Friday with some cool stuff, and no one said ew and yucky. So I feel that the project is very effective because we're upfront in your face type. You're gonna try these things, but if you grow it, they'll try it, because we tell them if you grow it, you cook it, you eat it. They're really not cooking, but they're preparing, because we do like a family style. Like they have the kids are like 3 and 4 years old, so they take the spoon, they put the things on their plate. And so they're trying our food. So I'm very impressed with our produce. If you guys are not happy, I was like, so when I saw the first tomato, I was like, yes, we're winning. We're doing a great job. But I was picking tomatoes literally every day. And the reason I had so much access to that particular garden is because that's where my child goes. So I would drop him off, would check the garden, and we would take pictures of the produce. But this is our produce. And then this is just me. I'm in the garden as a dietitian. I never thought, like growing up, I grew up in Louisiana. My grandfather had, where my parents lived, that was 6 acres of, like, they called it a garden, but I feel like it was a farm. That's where I grew up doing, and I never thought I would go back to this, but I absolutely enjoy getting my hands in the dirt with gloves on, of course, and doing my garden project. But I do want to open it up for questions. If anybody have any questions about myself or the project. No, I have volunteers. So we have a student now. I have the student that she goes every day and checks the gardens. So we have volunteers that volunteer. So it sounds like if you would like to be a volunteer, you're welcome to be a volunteer. We have so our farmer, we have a plant and soil science major that's actually the first volunteer that volunteered. But the farmer will give you training on like what to do. He'll do a Zoom call with you, and he does the Zoom call also with the teachers. And on Saturday, he did like a whole, if you came on Saturday, he gave a whole education on how to just do everything. So he's quite hands-on. He explains everything. He'll tell you when it's ready to cut or when it's, ready to harvest. So he'll give you like the small training, but it doesn't take that much training.
What's like the most exciting thing you're planning that you're like really pumped about, like in these gardens?
I would say that we're doing 11 gardens. Like that's a big deal. Like I'm super excited about that. And that we don't have
like
to
different
like
is it all gonna be like every garden can have the same produce, or it's all
so I thought we were gonna do that, right? And the farmer just kind of changed it up. Like it kind of feels like based on where we're at and what produce we have at the time. So we did Swiss chard, we did butter crunch lettuce, they have bush beans in one. Let me think. Remember collard greens might be in one, I think.
Cucumbers, squash.
So he kind of mixed it up. So each garden will get something different. So each garden will have something different. But what I try to do, whatever we are growing in the garden, we have recipes for parents to take home. This is what we grew, this is what we cooked at the schools. So you can try to replicate that at home. Yeah, I could probably reach out and see if they would want to. They have a pre-K school.
Yeah, they have a lab school like that way. Oh yeah, that way.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll get a map and then I'll get a contact person. But yeah, that would probably be great, to have one for the school on campus. They make it at school because it's not really enough to send home. What Head Start has agreed, because they have like whatever we grow in the garden, their cooks will order, so to make sure that every child can taste that produce. That's why we send recipes home, so that we don't actually send the food home, but we can send a recipe home and say, hey, this is what we made at school, let's try it at home. And if the kids like it, they'll ask their parents for it. I know my son, he said I would like some spinach. And I was like, yes, we're winning. Because kids are very picky eaters, but you have a question.
We had a student that just wanted some more information on what it was like applying for the Ziggys Grant.
What was it like? So I had to come up with a proposal. I had to do like a PowerPoint kind of showing what I wanted to do. And then we had to make a video. I guess I should have played the video for you guys. So I had a videographer. He's over Jukebox Media at Southern University. So he was so gracious because they gave us 24 hours to send back a video. And I'm just going to say, mine was the most professional video if you watched all of them. But most people just use their iPhone. I was like, no, when you want to win, you got to be play offense and defense. So I wanted to so I got a professional videographer to do it. And so it was a lot of pressure because we applied and it closed. I'm trying to see. The day it closed, 2 days later, I received an email and said, hey, you're a finalist. You need a video within 24 hours of it. Wow, that's a lot of pressure. And then we were just, it wasn't a lot that you had to submit. You had to do a budget, a proposal, and a PowerPoint, and then the video. But I did meet with Ziggy, and I asked him, I told him that all my students wanted to meet him. So he's agreed for next semester to do a Zoom call with the students to talk about entrepreneurship, because he's all about entrepreneurship and your next step. So my class in 4114 will have a Zoom call with Ziggy, and I made sure we recorded it so he can't say no. And his PR people were on the call, and I was like, can we get this? And so he said yes. So any other questions? I will say, I have said this about the Army. If you want to be an Army dietitian, you can apply to be an Army dietitian. They do have an internship program. They actually pay you, like you get your salary as a second lieutenant. It's a pretty substantial amount of money. You don't have to pay for anything, but you do have to commit 8 years of your life to the military. It sounds like a lot. I thought 4 years was like, oh my God, a lot. And then by the time I was at the end, I was like, maybe I should have did a military internship, but all things worked out for the best. So. Any other questions?
For this project, is your goal to increase like vegetable consumption in the young age kids, or to kind of bridge the gap between food?
So the goal is to provide access to healthy food options and to expose children to these to healthy foods in the food desert. Because I noticed, like, if you go to food desert communities, you'll see a lot of canned vegetables, and you'll see a lot of, the fruit in a can or a cup. I want them to actually see what it looks like to the fresh fruits and vegetables, and then eventually increase fruits and vegetable intake. Because as a dietitian, I was like, you need to eat fruits and vegetables, and most people are like, I have to drive far. I can't, how do I keep up with this produce? So just the education piece and exposure piece also. More questions? Well, I'm so thankful you guys invited me here. I look forward to meeting you all. I'm learning everyone's eyeballs. That's in my class. I think I have it down. Like I know these two here. I know that. I'm learning. Okay. And I also want to thank the students that came out this past weekend to help me. We had over 40 volunteers to come out and help with the project. I need that momentum to stay that way with these 11 gardens coming. So we'll have future events. I'll make sure I post out a volunteer roster, and you guys are welcome to come and volunteer. And I think, did you enjoy the former? He's super informative.
It was a lot. I didn't expect to not that I didn't expect to learn, but I didn't expect to learn so much. And I didn't expect him to know so much, not only about the process. I know he was going to learn a lot about the process, but he knew a lot about the what each plant has for in terms of vitamins and nutrients in it, which is really cool. Because I didn't know that that was part of his.
I just thought we were gonna go and do let's just go plant, but Karan, he is all about education first. So he made sure everyone's hands touched the dirt. Everyone had to plant something. Everyone had to show him that they knew what to do. So he made it very fun. The first 2 hours, I was like, it's gonna take us 2 hours just to do these 2 boxes, but the next 2 boxes were a lot quicker. So, but we had a lot of fun doing it. So I'm very appreciative for the students that came out and supported. Any other questions? Well, thank you all so much. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you.
And we have her information about volunteering and stuff, so that'll be. All right, so this is just a slide of the remaining meetings for the fall semester. This will be in the email too, but that's the same link. It's the same one every time. So people that are on Zoom, save that link. If you ever need to come on Zoom, it'll always be in an email coming from Lindsay before each meeting. Membership dues. So fall only $15, full year $25. We would like to have that today by the end of this meeting. So either Venmo, or if you need to pay cash for some reason, give it to Anna. And that's the Venmo right there. Hazing training. Okay, so this is due tomorrow. So if you haven't done it yet, get on it. We don't have to chase you down for it. A lot of people, I know at mine too, it's not in Moodle this year, it's still the old one from last year. So this is the link for it. Lindsay will send that out, and she sent it a couple times already. It doesn't take long, especially if you've done it before. You kind of know the drill. But definitely get that done so you don't get 1,000 emails telling you that you need to get it done.
Hit more, or you can hit more and then hide floating.
Okay, and then this is the same slides as last time about the Fancy Scholarship. It closes on October 1st, which is this Friday. So I don't think anybody's.
I haven't looked.
Okay. As of a few days ago, nobody had applied yet. So take advantage of that if you need it. Again, the link will be sent out, but these are just kind of the guidelines for it, whatever last time.
How does Fancy work? Is it something like on Zoom at least?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So how's Fancy gonna work this year? So since it's all virtual, when you register, you're sent login information, and there's gonna be a dedicated site that you log into, and it's kind of like when you go in, it looks like you're walking into a building, and you be like expo up here, and then stuff over here. So what's gonna happen is all of the sessions that would have taken place live are pre-recorded, so you can go in and watch them at a particular time, and then right afterwards there'll be a live Q&A with those actual speakers. If you can't attend when something's going on, you can watch everything on demand after. All of the poster sessions, so when you go to Fancy, usually there's posters set up all morning, and then for 1 hour, there's folks in front of them talking about their research. Those are all going to be pre-recorded. And so you just click on a poster, listen to it, look at what it wants. And then I have like 4 posters this year. So for like an hour here and there, I have to sit in front of my computer at a live Q&A if people happen to ask me questions. I think it like emails it to me later too, if someone watches it on demand. So the nice thing is it's really cheap for students, and you don't have to be pressured to watch everything just in those 3 days. You can go back for like an entire year and go back and watch stuff. So as your interests change, you can go back and be like, well, I didn't care about this one before, but now I'm a little interested. So it looks really good on internship applications. You have attended Fancy because it shows your interest in the profession. There's actually an entire section in diecast that's like, what symposiums and conferences have you been to? Fancy. Here's some of the sessions I went to that year. This is why it's important. So it's worth it to apply to the scholarship. Not that many students actually apply, so you probably have a really good chance of getting it. And we'll cover up to $85 of the cost. So right now, I think if you apply, it's like if you register now, it's like $105. We'll reimburse 85 of it. But it goes, I think the price goes up after September 30th, I think. I don't know. They keep doing it. So it's worth it as a student because it costs, once you become a professional, it's like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So go now while it's cheap, and then save your pennies and then have your job pay for it later when it costs like $400 to go. So yeah.
Yeah, and another good thing about it too is the like internship. So like they'll have a schedule of like when
That's not happening.
it's not happening.
So you're not wrong. So there's usually an internship fair at the conference. Last year when it was virtual, they tried to overlap it over the entire conference and everybody hated it. So they're still going to provide a free dietetic internship conference regardless of if you go to Fancy or not. And it's actually going to be the first week of November. So over 3 days. So right now we're going through, programs are going through the process of signing up for that. And so over 3 days in November, you'll get a schedule. I will email it to you guys when I have it. And I'll be like, oh, this school is talking at this time. And you can pop into their Zoom, listen, pop out, ask questions, pop into another Zoom. Kind of like last year, but they're doing it completely separate because a lot of internship directors had sessions they had to handle, ended up missing sessions because they were stuck in the thing and students had too much going on. And so they moved it and made it separate. But next year, when we are back to normal and we're in Orlando, there'll be an in-person internship fair on Sunday night at the hotel connected to the conference center that is actually free regardless of if you pay for Fancy or not because it's at the hotel next door. And there's usually about 100, 110, 125 programs that each have a table set up. And you just walk around and meet. So that's part of the incentive to physically go to Fancy in the future is that you actually get a chance to meet directors and they like to see that you've attended Fancy, that sort of thing. So we will definitely continue to do scholarships in the future, especially when there's going to be travel involved in future years.
Okay, so this year usually we have
the food drive, we do it for the campus food pantry, but we actually found this Baton Rouge community fridge slash pantry in Baton Rouge. It's like off of Government by Electric Depot, you know where that's at. This kind lady just happened to want to build all this for her community, so we reached out to her and told her that we wanted to like help out some. So we're gonna do a food drive from October 4th through October 18th. Y'all can donate dry goods, canned goods, things like that to the food lab or outside the office. Put it in a bag, write your name on it. Every items is one service point, I believe. Yes. And you can also donate through cash or SNDA, LSU demo. So, and then every $5 is also one service point. You can also volunteer with this as well. And you help like cleaning the fridge and all that.
The link to volunteer will be in the email too. So definitely donate to it. You can send, like she said, you can send $5 or however much you want through Venmo, but $5 is 1 point. And then make sure you put your name on the bag, because if you put your bag in the box and it doesn't have your name, you're not going to get a point because you don't know who it came from. So make sure.
Yeah, I posted on SNDA's Instagram yesterday, but I'll post it again. They really have a need for dry goods right now. So if you go to Baton Rouge Community Fridge, you can look at all the stuff that they need. Whatever money gets donated, we're actually going to go to the grocery store before we drop it off and get some of more of the fresh foods that they need so that we can actually put it in the fridge. So that money will go to food use. And we do not run the volunteering for the cleaning of the fridge. That's all through them. So we're just helping them out by sharing their link.
So another volunteer opportunity, we have the Suicide Prevention Walk, which is October 23rd. I believe it's 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's going to be in Gonzales, Louisiana. It's like 30 minutes away at Boulevard Dixon Expo Center. You can sign up to do the walk. And I think it's free. I think the registration you can pay for like a package and a few items, and money gets donated for the cause. But we also have, Ms. Brandy is asking for a few students to come to the nutrition table, talk about healthy eating, mindful eating, exercise, stuff like that. We do have a few positions filled, so if anybody is interested, please contact me or Dr. McKinley or anybody, which I'll set up with that. And then there's also volunteer as well, just for any of the other services through the walk that you can sign up for as well. And then also you can donate money if you can. For some who don't have the chance to come to it, you can donate money to Miss Brandy's Facebook links. And then one more thing, Facts of Hope for St. Vincent de Paul. It's in the email. This is like an ongoing volunteer opportunity. They have basically just times of days and slots that you can sign up wherever fits best for your schedule. And that's basically like replacing their soup kitchen. It's going to be like bagging snacks and making sandwiches. This is going to be for the greater Baton Rouge area. And that's going to be like downtown. So not very far, like maybe 15 minutes. Usually happens on Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, 8:30 to 2:30. We'll put the link for that as well.
Okay, t-shirts and sweatshirt fundraiser. So we're working on this. Me and Peyton actually got an email today saying that they sent all the information over to the people that are supposed to be making like a little shop for us. So we should have that in hopefully the next week. So this year we're doing it through Red Stick Sports, I guess is what it's called. And so we're gonna have a long sleeve, a short sleeve, and a crew neck sweatshirt. So we've never had like multiple things offered at one time. So basically it'll be like a little like shop online, and so you can like pick what you want. Everything will be offered in like 1 or 2, possibly 3 colors. So you can pick the colors based on the logos. These are the 2 logos that are going to be offered. And then obviously like the colors will kind of change depending on what color shirt you pick. but the store will be open for 2 weeks. So once it's open, it'll be all over social media. You'll get an email, all that, so you won't miss it. But definitely be on the lookout for that. Like I said, I'm hoping to get it in the next like week or two. And so basically we'll get a portion of whatever we make will be donated to SNDA. And then you can either, I'll say this again later when it actually happens, but you'll be able to either get it shipped straight to you, or you'll be able to go pick it up at Red Stick. So we won't have to do like we normally do when Dr. Finley has them all in the corner of her office and she has to like sit through them and then we don't come pick them up. So you'll get it straight to you, or you'll go pick it up. Okay, Cassie, you want to talk about this?
Okay. So the ASA meetings are in person this year and they're kind of interactive. So the next one is October 6th. It's a pumpkin painting. So if anybody wants to come and paint pumpkins with me, you're more than welcome to. They have all the other clubs there from the College of Ag, so you can hear about other volunteer opportunities from the other clubs and just hear about what's going on for them, like their fundraising. If you want to help them out, you can. So it's be pumpkin painting. If anybody wants to join, I'll be there. I'm thinking the pumpkin painting's gonna be in the quad, but now I don't know for sure. But I think that's what it is.
So it's not like a set place.
No, if it is, then it would be in that hall.
And they're all at 4:30.
They're all at 4:30, but I'm pretty sure the pumpkin painting's gonna be in the quad.
We can repost whatever they post on Instagram.
Yeah.
The quad outside of Woody? Probably.
Just look for the Okay, homecoming week, this is another ASA thing, but we're kind of waiting on more information about it. But the last 2 years, SNDA has won the hay bale decorating competition, so we're trying to hold that title. So this was the one that we did last year. The theme this year is there's no place like homecoming. So our idea is there's no place like homegrown. And so Dr. McKinley mentioned like Mike the Tiger dressed as like Dorothy and Rainbow and all kinds of stuff. So drafting up something for that. But once we have like set information about when to volunteer to help like build it, we'll let you know. All right, and then tomorrow there is a brand social. So if you don't know what brand is, it's basically like how we have SNDA for LSU. It's like the one for all of Baton Rouge. So it's a good place to network, meet other dietitians in the area, possibly other students. But tomorrow is their brand social at Red Stick Social at 5:30, and they'll have like free food and I think music and stuff. Yeah. And it's basically like they'll just get more information about brand, find out what it is. You can join. I think it's like $10.
Yeah, $10
for students. Yeah.
All right, so we are continuing Tiger to Tiger peer mentoring this year. So for those that are familiar with it, I encourage you to sign up again. Changes for this year. We're only doing juniors and seniors as mentors and freshmen and sophomores as mentees. We are eliminating the junior-senior pairing because it just was a little much for those that had to handle both sides of the fence. And so we are asking folks to sign up now through Friday. There's separate forms for mentee and mentors. So what we're doing this year before we make the pairings is that anybody who applies is invited to a social that's on Thursday the 7th over in Nap Hall on the first floor in the lounge, just so you can mingle and meet each other. And we're going to allow our mentees to kind of rank their preference for some mentors, just to make sure that people are with folks that they're comfortable with, that they have a vibe with. Because last year, some people weren't vibing, and I want to make sure we eliminate that. So since we can get together in some capacity, we're going to go ahead and do that. And then after that event happens, we'll put the pairs together. So keep note, if you want to participate in this, you have to be a member of SNDA, and you have to agree to be part of the research study that is attached to it. So every good mentoring program that's out there, it's connected to a research study, because why not? And so there's surveys involved that you have to take pre and post, because I want to know if y'all are taking your time out to serve as mentors and to serve in that capacity. I want to make sure that you're learning how to become more confident in that area. And then if you're a mentee, I want to see if your confidence is increased in your ability to handle this program and this department that you've entered in either becoming a dietitian or some other nutrition professional. So the links are here. They will be sent in the email. There's separate ones for mentee versus mentor, so make sure you fill out the correct one. Just of note, if you participated last year, I would prefer that you get paired with a new person this year because your mentee is probably at a stage where they can now be a mentor. So I would like, if folks have progressed into junior year, that they transition over and start to help some of the newer students with their experiences here. But I can handle that on a case-by-case basis if someone has a real issue with that and would rather serve as a mentor. I mean, a mentee for one more year, maybe with a new mentor or with the same person. I'll just handle that as it happens. Oh yeah, and I'm not making you check in once a month because that was just too much. So you only have to meet at least every other month. You're encouraged to meet as much as you want, but for the program, you'll only be required to meet every other month, and you just have to fill out your little form for me, letting me know what happened, if you met or not, and if you didn't, why. So a little less paperwork in between, and we're going to try to do some social events throughout the year, but we'll kind of see how that goes with everything, with the world.
The deadline to apply is October 1st, so
Friday night. Oh. Okay. All right. So, member of the month. So, our member of the month this month is Abby. I'm pretty sure every member of the month we had last year, Abby was like, "Really? Not me? It's not me yet." I know her better. So, Abby has put up with a lot of crap with SNDA. We had a tough year with COVID, moving into not being together, having to do a whole year apart. We had some disasters happen with those sweatshirts. If you have one of the disaster sweatshirts, God bless you. They're awesome. We fought for those stupid sweatshirts, but we got them. We're actually going to raffle one off this year because I bought too many. And so she has handled some things pretty well that I didn't even handle well. I'm the one swearing in the group text, and she's like, "I got it. I'm going to handle this." And so she's handled her business. She's handled the sweatshirt, t-shirt, long sleeve shirt thing with Red Stick Sports very well. She just has held it down and has led this group pretty well the last couple of years. So I definitely thought it was time. So yeah. So future upcoming months, if you're interested in nominating yourself because you feel like you've been doing some good volunteering, doing your thing, doing well in class, all that good stuff, you can certainly email me by the 25th of the month and be like, "Hey, I would like to be considered," because it works. Cameron did that, and I was like, "Thank you. I needed an idea." Sometimes I don't have time, and I literally am like, "Who can be member of the month?" And I start going through things. And I'm like, "This person," and it's usually the person who volunteers a lot. It comes in like helps with stuff. I look at that first. So make sure you're logging your volunteering in our survey so that I can see that you're doing stuff. But you are more than welcome to nominate yourself, nominate a friend, what have you. And then we kind of mentioned it last year, but not last year, last meeting. We are doing member of the year this year, and that's actually, we'll explain more in the future. So you don't have to be a member of the month to be member of the year. Anybody could be a member of the year. It's just going to require a little bit more work on your part. Like, you're going to need some recommendations from some folks that aren't me, that sort of thing. And so we'll give you more information as it comes. So things to look forward to. And then someone in the chat asked about volunteer points, and I just want to clarify something. We removed years ago the requirement for points. Like SNDA, but when it was SDA, you had to have a minimum number of points or you couldn't join the next year. It was ridiculous. And so we don't require you to get a minimum of points on anything. What I encourage you to do is just accumulate points, because that's what I use for the service awards at the end of the year. So the bronze, silver, gold. Sometimes I make up new awards because there's like 4-way tie, things like that. So getting your service hours in, that counts towards the service awards. And then that plus everything else that you're doing would count towards like member of the month, member of the year. But there's no minimum. It's just do what you can, make sure you're logging it. The link for that is always in the emails that we send. I think I addressed that question. Yeah. Is there anything else?
I think we're almost done. Okay, so this is at the end of every PowerPoint. Just remember to follow or get in the Facebook group, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Tiger Link, join that. That's all our handles. And then Oh, if I want to scan this QR code just so we know you're here, and then I think if you're watching the recording, there's a
They can put their name in the chat if they're using their phone right now. Oh, and just to address another question that came in the chat, if you fancy, make sure that you're as a member so that you can get your student discount automatically. So you do have to be a member of the academy to get the student rate.
nothing. Okay. All right. Well, if you haven't paid your dues yet, just make sure to get that in.
I have totes. If you need a tote, I have your
Oh
tote.
yeah, and then if you pay for your membership and you want your tote bag, it's up here, and then there's still snacks over there. Dr. Finley has one more thing to say.
I still have shirts in my office from last year that people haven't picked up. So please come get that if I've emailed you. I also have a box full of shirts I want to get rid of. So if you still want a purple shirt or a random black shirt in a size that's too big for you, come by my office on Fridays. They're $5 each. All money goes towards fencing scholarships.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I think that's all we have. And if you have any questions that you don't want to say in front of everybody, you can come ask me or Dr. McKinley or whoever. But if you need to like pay your dues with cash, Anna is right there.